Hey everybody, I'm Adam Saprasky. I'm the broker for Cardinal Realty Group, and I'm also an attorney in Florida, and I specialize in real estate law and real estate transactions. Today we're going to be going over the as-is contract. Okay, a lot of people out there are purchasing homes, a lot of people out there are selling homes. We want you to be informed when doing this. Okay, you're going to be filling out a contract, and we want you to know what you're doing. Okay, so today we're going to go over the as-is contract. All right. Before we do that, just shout out to all my Cardinal agents out there, Cardinal Realty Group. We're proud of you, and make sure you finish this video because this is very important stuff, and we want you especially to be informed when helping your clients fill out this contract. Jumping right in, first you can see here, you guys also see my screen. We have the as-is contract open. We got here through Form Simplicity, and we will do a separate video on how to get that as well. Okay, so I have the contract open, and you can see line 1 is seller, right? So we're going to put the seller's name. Now, you might be representing a buyer, and you might not know the seller's name, and you're going to have to look that up on public records, and we'll do a separate video on how to do that. But for now, just know that you're going to need to put the seller's name there. Okay, and here on line 2 where it says buyer, you guessed it, we're going to put the buyer's name. Okay, whoever's taking title to the property, who's purchasing the property. Is it a person? Is it a couple? If it's a couple, you're going to put, in fact, let's put the names here. Seller, we're going to put seller is John Smith, right? 2, Mary and Jake Doe. Okay, so these are our make-believe seller, John Smith, and buyer, Mary and Jake Doe, a married couple. All right, if it's a married couple, that's what you're going to do. Moving down, we have the property description section, right? So here's street address. It's going to be 123. We're just going to use a make-believe address here. All right, we're not going to actually put anyone's address. We're going to call it 123 Main Street, Miami, Florida, 33162. That is the zip code of our Cardinal Realty Group office. So I'm using that. And it is located in Miami-Dade County. Okay? Simple so far. Here it's going to ask you for the tax ID, right? You see, guys, property tax ID number. This is something that we're going to look up on public records as well, and we will do a separate video for that. Okay, so it's going to look something like dun 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 dun, like that. Okay, it'll be something like that. And then here's going to be the legal description of the property. This is not the address, this is the legal description of the property. It's also found on public records, and we will get that from a separate video as well. Just know for now that this is where you put the legal description of the property, okay? Right here. Legal description goes here. All right, guys, moving down. And I'm sorry if this is slow, but this is very important, so just pay attention and bear with me. Guys, this section right here, paragraph D, personal property, this whole section right here, this contains pretty much the standard stuff that usually comes with a house. So you can read here, it says the property will come with the following items, and it says ranges, ovens, refrigerators, dishwashers, disposals, ceiling fans, intercoms, light fixtures, all these things that are typically included in the house. One thing that I do realize that this section does leave out is a washer and a dryer. So if you are selling or purchasing a home with a washer and a dryer in it, and it is included in the sale, you're going to want to go ahead and just include that in right here in this line. So we're gonna pretend like we do have a washer and a dryer. Washer and dryer. There you go. That's simple. All right. And this next part, just go ahead and put NA. Usually this is going to be an NA unless certain items are excluded from the sale. So if, let's say, there was a washer and dryer, but it's not coming with the sale, then you're going to want to include that on that line. Okay, moving down, guys, to the purchase price of the property. Now this is where you're going to make your offer price. If the house is listed at $500,000 and you say, wow, we really like that house, we want to make a full price offer, let's offer $500,000. Well, that's what you're going to put here, 500,000. Okay, that's your purchase price. But then you're going to see, well, how much are we going to put deposit in escrow? Okay, so, you know, a typical escrow deposit is about 5% of the offer price, right? Which comes out to $25,000 in our scenario here. So we're going to put $25,000 here. And typically I recommend to all my agents and to all my clients, check off this box here to be made within 3 days after effective date. Okay, the effective date is the date of the last signature of the contract. Okay, so if you guys make this offer, you sign it, you present it to the other party, they sign it, the date that that last signature happens is the effective date. Okay, and according to what we're just putting in here right now, under this deposit section, you'll have 3 days to deposit your $25,000 after that effective date. Okay, so moving down here, this section is going to include the name of the escrow agent. All right, this is typically going to be the closing agent, but not always. You just see it a lot. So you would put the name of usually the title company, right? So usually title company goes here. Not always. All right, guys, and then just put address, the phone number, the email of the contact at the title company, and their fax number here. Okay. Moving down here, you will see an additional deposit to be made within a certain amount of days. You guys are, if you represent, if you are a buyer and you want to make an offer on a property, you are the master of your offer. Okay, you can offer whatever you want. If you don't want to make an additional deposit, you can just put 0 here. Okay, if you do want to make an additional deposit, or if you want to offer making an additional deposit, you would put something here. So with an additional 10 days, you would put an additional $5,000. Okay, or I'm sorry, $25,000. Okay, and we'll get into why and why we're putting those deposits in, and when and at what points they become they're still refundable, and at what point they're no longer refundable. That will be a separate video. Just know for now that this is where if you're going to make an additional deposit, this is where that goes. The next line here, line C, financing. Guys, right here, financing. This is very important because most people will be financing their properties. If they're purchasing, most purchases are with a loan. Okay, so financing, a lot of the times you'll see 30% down, 70% loan. Okay, so if you're gonna finance 70% of the property, you can just type in here 70%. Okay, and it'll do the math for you. Right, so we can see here on line E now, balance to close. And by the way, skip line D. We're not even going to get into that right now. It's barely ever used. So just to make everything much more simple, don't worry about line D. And then you can see line E, balance to close, will be $100,000, right? Now, guys, that's not including lender's costs. That's not including other closing costs. This is just for the purchase price of the property. Okay, so you can see we offered $500,000. We're going to deposit $25,000. We're going to deposit another $25,000, and we're going to finance 70%. That leaves $100,000 left for us to show up to closing. If you're getting a loan, keep in mind there could be some additional points as well, and other charges from a title company, or if you're being represented by a lawyer, there could be legal fees. Moving forward with this contract, and once again, guys, I am sorry to bore you all, but this is just very important, so just please stay with me. Moving forward with the contract, we have time for acceptance. Now, this is going to be how long you're going to give the other party. So if you're purchasing the property and you're drawing up this contract, well, you're going to say, look, seller, I'm going to give you this long to reply to me. This offer is good for this long. So if today was October 21st, right? We'll typically give the seller a day or two to get back to me, right? We're not going to give them too much time, but we're going to give them maybe 2 days. We'll give them till Friday, right? Till Friday, October 23rd, to get back to me with their answer. Or not. If they don't get back to me, then I know they have declined my offer, and my offer is no longer valid. It no longer stands. Closing date. This is also very important. How long is it going to take you to actually close? If you're financing the property, most lenders will require some time to process your loan, right? So typically you're going to want to put 60 days. This is not always. You can find some lenders who will be able to process your loan a lot quicker. Okay, so it won't always be 60 days, but for the sake of this contract and for the sake of this video, I'm going to put 60 days from today's date, which will be September 21st. And, you know, I personally like to close on Fridays. So whatever date that came out to, I'm actually going to put the 25th because it's the Friday of that week. A lot of the times, the week of the closing, there's some last minute issues that come up, and you don't want to have to delay the closing. So let's just make it on that Friday to begin with. That's my whole theory on that. Okay, so moving forward, guys, going down this contract. And I'm only going to go over the parts that I think that are important, that I think everyone needs to know about, and the parts that really need to be filled out, right? So here you see under section 6, paragraph B, right here on line 68, check if property is subject to lease or occupancy after closing. Hopefully your property that you're purchasing will not have a tenant in there already. There will not be anyone already renting in there. So we will actually keep this box unchecked for this example. But if there is a tenant in there and if there is someone currently leasing, you will want to check that box, and that box will allow you to inspect, and it will make the owner of the property have to give you a copy of the lease with the current tenant and inspect any other sort of records that there may be, including a security deposit. Okay, next section, number 7, assignability, line 77. A lot of the times, so guys, assignability, right? I like to check this right here. May assign but not be released from liability under this contract. The reason I check this is because if you go back up, go back up to our buyer, John Smith. I'm sorry, not John Smith, I apologize. Mary and Jake Doe, a married couple, they are our buyer, right? They are the ones who are filling out this contract, and they are the ones who are going to check off may assign but not be released from liability under this contract. And that just simply gives them the option to create an LLC or some sort of other entity to transfer this contract to and take title in that entity's name. The reason they might want to do that is for some sort of tax savings, or I don't know, any other sort of reason that they would have talked about with a licensed tax professional, a CPA. All right, guys, so that's what I put there. I find that that's always been very effective for buyers and sellers. Okay, moving down to the financing section of the contract. Guys, we're only on page 2 of the contract. Very important part, financing. If your buyer is purchasing cash, you will check this box here. Buyer will pay cash. Okay. Most contracts have a financing contingency. Most contracts need to get a loan. So we're probably going to check off this second box, B. This contract is contingent upon buyer obtaining approval of a loan, blah, 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 blah. So if your buyer is not able to get a loan, and if he's denied within his financing period, right, he's going to be able to get his deposit back. This whole contract is now contingent upon, which means that it has to happen. This whole contract is now contingent upon the buyer getting financing, getting approved for a loan, okay, within and according to the terms of this contract right here, within 30 days. Okay, so if within 30 days he is denied his loan, he's able to get his deposit back and go his separate ways. All right, no harm, no foul. Buyer walks, seller keeps trying to sell, and everything resumes normally. Okay, so very important. If you think and you want to talk to the lender before you write this contract up, you want to communicate with all the parties involved as much as you can. Communication is key. I can't stress that enough. You definitely are going to want to talk to the lender about this and say, hey, lender, how long do you think it's going to take to process my loan? How long do you think I'm going to need to get that loan commitment? How long are you going to need to tell me either you're approving me for this loan or you're going to deny me for this loan? Most lenders take about 30 days. Some lenders might take a little bit more. And if they do, you want to know, and you want to make sure you change this number here maybe to 45 days. Now, keep in mind, you also want to make the offer attractive to the seller because you want to have your offer accepted. Okay, so there's that balancing act as well. Moving down, and this is just this part about the financing, just to give a little bit of description about the loan you're applying for. Is it going to be a conventional loan? Mostly yes. Sometimes it's an FHA or a VA loan, maybe some other type of loan. Is it going to be fixed? Or is it going to be adjustable? Or maybe you can just apply fixed or adjustable, which I think is wise in this area. And then the rest, I would recommend to leave this next thing blank here, because in parentheses it says, if left blank, then prevailing rate based upon buyer's credit worthiness. Okay, I think that's the smartest thing to do in this situation, at least for a buyer. And for a term of, and then you're going to put the term of the loan. Most home loans are amortized over 30 years. Okay, so that's, some people do 15-year loans, 15-year mortgages though, so you never know. Mostly it's going to say 30 there though. Moving down, and just put 5 in this box as well. That's, hopefully you will have actually already applied for the loan before you even write this contract up. If not, you put 5 in this box here, you have 5 days to apply. Time is of the essence. There's no time to sit around and wait. If you have a contract and you're getting financing, go out there and look for the financing. You can't just take your time. You have to move quickly. Moving down, guys. Okay, so that's a big part of the contract. Those first 2 pages. Okay, so take that in. That's really good. You got that down now. We're going to move down to now this next part of the contract. Okay, this is closing costs, fees, and charges. Now, if you read here, number 9, closing costs, title insurance, survey, home warranty, special assessments, and then A, costs to be paid by seller. Okay, these are the costs that are going to be paid by the seller at closing. It's pretty self-explanatory. Documentary stamp taxes, blah, 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 this whole list of things, okay? Now, in this place where it says other, this line where it says other, I always found it wise to just include a little line here that says, as customary in whatever county you're in, right? So sometimes closing costs change a little bit, not too much, but they will change a little bit depending on what county you're in. Okay, so we're in Miami-Dade County, and we want to make sure that we're following the customary traditions of the Miami-Dade County closing costs. So we're going to put as customary in Miami-Dade County, right? And we're going to just take that, we're going to copy and paste that into this next line here. Cost, the next section, no surprise, cost to be paid by buyer. Okay, so we just went over the cost to be paid by seller, and now these are going to be the costs paid by buyer. Okay, and we're going to include this line here as well, as customary in Miami-Dade County. Okay, I'm not going to explain this whole title evidence and insurance section. I don't think it's worth our time to go over today. I don't think it's going to help anybody. Just know when you're filling out this contract, give yourself 15 days here. All right. That's all I'm going to say on that. Okay. And moving down this contract, we're going to check off here. And this is where you had where it says check one. This is kind of saying who's going to pick the title company, who picks the title company, and who pays for the title company, right? I recommend that everybody in Miami-Dade or Broward who's watching this check off this, okay? And it pretty much just says buyer gets to pick their title insurance provider, and buyer has to pay the premium for that. All right? So moving down, just this little section here, home warranty. You don't really ever see home warranties anymore unless it's a new construction property. Anything other than new construction, I personally haven't seen any home warranties ever. If there was going to be one, then this is where you would check off who pays for that, okay? But generally it's going to be a big fat NA right there, not applicable. All right. Okay, moving down, this part right here, special assessments. Huge misconception. A lot of people think that this special assessments section is actually referring to condos. It's not. The special assessments is referring to municipality special assessments. These are special assessments that come from the city or town that you live in. Maybe they redid a sidewalk in front of your house, but not everyone else's house. Well, that's going to be a special assessment to you. You would know about it if you had one. All right. Typically, I check off box A here. All right. And I'll read to you what that says. Seller shall pay installments due prior to closing, and buyer shall pay installments due after closing. There you go. If installments were due, if payments were due before closing, then seller has to make them. But once it closes, if payments for that special assessment are still due, then buyer also has to make them. I think that's fair, and that's what I would offer if I was purchasing this property. But once again, anyone who's watching this and about to make an offer on a property, you are the master of your own offer, and you can offer whatever you want. It might not get accepted, but it doesn't mean you can't offer it. Moving down. Moving down, guys. We're doing good. We're doing good. This flood zone part, flood zone elevation certification, this is something that I would leave blank here. It will give you 20 days just in case this situation arises. Moving down to the next most important section of the contract, which I think is very, very important. The property inspection / right to cancel section. Okay, so this is going to be your inspection period right here. This first line right here, line 249. If you leave it blank, it's going to be 15 days. Okay, that's great. If you're making an offer on a property and you've never purchased a home before, or even if you have, you're spending most likely spending a significant amount of money on this property. You want to make sure you do your inspections. Make sure you take a really, really good look at this house if you're buying a house. Okay, spend the few $100 or however much it costs to get that property inspected professionally. It's worth every penny. Okay, you're about to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a property, all right? You want to make sure that the walls or everything are in good structure, everything's in good standing. The integrity of the property is A+ condition. So how long is it going to take you to do that? And this is the part where you put that. You know, some people can hire an inspector, get the inspection report, and know whether or not they're going to do that in just a few days. If you think you need some more time, put 15 days. Now keep in mind, this will kind of affect whether or not the seller will accept your offer, because this is the amount of time where they have to take the property off the market for sale and the amount of time where you can still get your deposit back. Okay, so if within these 15 days, at your sole discretion, for any reason at all, you don't want to move forward with the property, you can give notice to the seller, say, seller, I no longer wish to purchase this property. I want my deposit back. You cancel the contract and you take your deposit back as long as you're within this 15-day period that we're giving ourselves. And no harm, no foul. Both sides walk away and go their separate ways. Okay? But after that 15 days is over, all right, generally you lose your chance to get your deposit back. Unless, of course, you have a financing contingency and you get denied your financing. Moving forward. So guys, that was actually very important. The inspection period. Make sure you guys give yourself ample time to inspect the property. And moving down, that's about it. Let me just make sure we're not missing anything here. Just want to make sure we're not missing anything. Guys, section 19 here on this second to last page, line 569. This is the Addenda section. So if you are going to be including an addendum with your contract, then this is where you're going to check off which addendums are included, right? So if this contract was actually for a condo, we would be including a condominium rider. So we would check off A, condominium rider. If this property is a house in a homeowners association, we wouldn't check off A, we would check B, homeowners association, because we would include a homeowners association addendum with this contract. Okay, and we will do a separate video on how to fill out those specific addendums. Okay, and so on and so forth. If there was other sorts of addendums or situations that you would be including, I see here C is a seller financing addendum. We did not go over seller financing today, but if you were doing seller financing, you would include a seller financing addendum. So any addendums you're adding, make sure you check off here. So we're not going to include any with this one today. If there's additional terms that you want included, you would include the additional terms here. We are not going to add any today, but this is where you would include any additional terms that weren't already in the contract. And some additional terms might be real estate brokerage transaction fees you see often there. And some additional terms may also be other items included in the sale. Actually, we'll have to cancel that part out. Okay. And moving forward, finally, we have the last page of the contract. This is where the buyer, who's most likely writing up this contract, will sign. And once the buyer signs it, it becomes an offer. And then the seller will go on line 63, right? And in our situation, our buyer is a married couple. So both of our buyers would sign. One of them would sign on 601, and one of them would sign on line 602. And since we only have one seller in this hypothetical contract we wrote up, that one seller would sign on line 603, right where it says seller, you sign right on that line, seller signature, and that offer now became an executed contract. Once the seller signs, we now have a contract. Okay, guys? And if there was an agent involved in the transaction, if you are an agent and you are writing up this this contract, then you are going to want to include your information right here. Okay, so the cooperating sales associate, generally the buyer's representative here, the name of the buyer's representative would go here. I'll just use myself just in case. You know, I like to fantasize about making large commissions. So I'll put my name and then I'll put Cardinal Realty Group, LLC, comma, the amount of commission I'm going to make here, 3%, hypothetically speaking, right? And on the other side, we have a good friend of mine, Oleg Sergienko, also with Cardinal Realty Group. And he will also be taking 3% in our hypothetical contract here. And that wraps up today's as-is contract. Once again, just want to give a shout out to all my Cardinal Realty Group agents out there. I know you're working really hard and I appreciate it. I want to see you all succeed and I want to see everyone out there do well. So thank you for watching, and most importantly, please subscribe to our channel and we'll see you next time. Thank you.